Hello out there! Welcome to Wake Up to the Bible. I'm Daniel Kaplan. I'm here with my father, Dr. Kaplan. Together we're going through the books of the Bible, Genesis through Deuteronomy, over the course of this year, a little bit every day. Today we're going to read Genesis 48:10 through 16. It's rather short. I'm going to be reading from the Robert Alter translation, and then we'll discuss what we have read. Let us go. And Israel's eyes had grown heavy with age. He could not see. And he brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, and look, God has also let me see your seed. And Joseph drew them out from his knees, and he bowed his face to the ground. And Joseph took the two of them, Ephraim with his right hand to Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left hand to Israel's right, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and placed it on Ephraim's head, yet he was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head. He crossed his hands, though Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed them and said, The God in whose presence my fathers walked, Abraham and Isaac, the God who has looked after me all my life till this day, the messenger rescuing me from all evil, may he bless the lads. Let my name be called in them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac. Let them teem multitudinous in the midst of the earth. Well, there you go. So you finally got your blessing that you were waiting for with bated breath yesterday. It is you have a parallel again here where you have Israel's eyes grown heavy with age. He could not see
like his father.
Like his father, right? So you have failing eyesight. Now here's here's something I thought about. No, never mind. I forget that.
He trusted Joseph enough that these were indeed the grandsons. He probably, he knew them. He was there 17 years, so once he drew them closer, he could have probably interacted with them sufficiently to know that they were the grandsons. But anyway, because it's after 17 years. But I want to point out that here he's called Israel.
Yes.
This is because of the importance. Right. This is now legacy time. So.
Yeah, and he had just been called Jacob a minute ago. In the chapter, verse 3 of chapter 48, it said, and Jacob said to Joseph.
Well, did the last reading?
It was Jacob.
But where did we end the last reading?
Verse 10? No, verse 9. And he said, fetch them, pray to me that I may bless them. Okay. And then we began with, and Israel's eyes have grown heavy with age. Yeah. But yeah, so we ended the last reading had him as Jacob, and now he's going by Israel. Now, what is kind of strange about the way this is written is it says, and Israel's eyes had grown heavy with age, and he could not see. And then just a second later, he said, I had not thought to see your face, and look, God has also let me see your seed. So that would imply, I guess he can't. It says he could not see. I'm guessing he can't see well.
Maybe that's it. But he also did see them earlier too, before while he still had his vision.
Yeah. Well, especially because he said, "I had not thought to see your face," because obviously he thought he wouldn't see them again, and so he saw. Yeah. So this could be referring to a prior situation. That makes sense. And he also could be using it metaphorically, like I'm seeing you as a recognition of your existence. It's possible too.
But
even if he can't physically
see well, could be.
It could be, yeah. And then you have Joseph bowing now. So you had Jacob bowing last time, and you were saying you were a little bit confused as to potentially who Jacob was bowing to. Now you have Joseph bowing, so you have at least a reciprocation of bowing, and I think that does imply an external bowing too, right? I would say maybe both of them are showing deference to each other and then also to God at the same time. That it would seem like. Now you have the whole cross hands blessing, yeah, and then it goes out of its way to mention the way that he's positioning is not what you would expect, because you would expect the left hand to be on the secondborn and the right hand to be on the firstborn, and he reverses it. And this is the fourth time in a row or something this has happened, that the firstborn gets usurped, because let's see, because Cain was usurped.
Well, if you want to.
I mean, not in a row, but this is like a major time. Like you have Cain usurped, Jacob usurped, Um, there was another one. Um, Isaac kind
I
of usurps.
Yeah, Ishmael, Isaac is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just a pattern. But it's interesting because while the Bible was set in a cultural time frame where the firstborn's always important and it keeps telling you that, the narrative keeps violating that common practice. It's fascinating.
Yeah, there seems to be a certain prerogative given to the parent, in generally speaking, firstborn, but maybe once in a while,
Hmm.
there can be an exception based upon the insight of the hopefully both parents. But
Yeah, and I don't I just
yeah,
think it's kind of
it's
curious.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, because it clearly is a pattern because it mentions it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then there's other times where it clearly is a pattern, but yet on the other hand, it's broken all the time. So I think sometimes we need to keep that in mind when we read back into practices about some of those flexibilities too, because sometimes things can seem really rigid in terms of inheritance or family structure in ways that we may not really be understanding correctly. That even if that's the norm, that doesn't mean it doesn't get broken a fair amount or things like that,
And
exceptions,
and
whatnot.
keep in mind that he has a future that he envisions for all of his children, and that'll come up in the next chapter. Uh, and I have very very strong views about the implications of these 12 tribes. But that would be something that I would recommend that you view my messages on the Christian Commandment Keepers YouTube channel. That's where I will elucidate my views more fully. But I do have very strong views on this subject that I think will appropriately be expressed there.
Yeah. Um, do, 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 do. Uh, there is a change here from the Masoretic text that I know you're not a fan of messing with the Masoretic text, but Alter does do that. So just so you know, since I read it out loud, and that might not reflect what you have in your Bible, verse 15. Um, he says that the Masoretic text says, and he blessed Joseph, and he switches it to them because that's what's found in the Septuagint and the Syriac and the Vulgate. Now, according to you, he's making an error. Probably there's that textual variant because the scribe just decided to clean it up. But to call these people Joseph is, according to you, appropriate because they're called Joseph in other situations.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a big deal one way or the other, but that's probably what happened. A lot of textual variants are just a scribe is like, this isn't very clear, and they just fix it.
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened. Um, the
Okay.
meaning doesn't really change, but if you have a different text for verse 15, then he blessed them. If it's because you have he blessed Joseph, right? Yeah. Then that would be why. So I just wanted to clear that up.
So the Septuagint has and he blessed them.
The Septuagint, Syriac, and the Vulgate. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he says. All right. So what do you make of the specific blessing itself?
This is very important. Uh, I'm sure the rabbis, of course, have their spin, but you see here, in fact, some additional understanding about the nature of God. Uh, that's why in most translations the angel is capitalized, because
Oh,
this
the messenger.
this is really
Yeah.
God as His own messenger. This is in
Right.
effect the Logos is the
Right.
pre-incarnate Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
But of course, as I said, the rabbis would have a different spin on it.
Hmm.
But if you just read it, he's talking
Right.
about God, then he's talking about the angel,
Uh-huh.
and he's
Rescuing you for all evil. Obviously, quite strong
yeah. So
Christology there.
anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that
Yeah.
there's Christology here that yeah, I understand there'd be
Right.
a rabbinic spin on it, but there is Christology here,
Right.
I believe.
That's uh that's very well, it's also too because it says the God in whose presence my fathers walk, the messenger. It really is when you read it from that bias, it just really does come through super. strong. The
Yeah.
the walking with us, it was very John 1 sounding. So yeah, no, that's really
And he
cool.
does want the grandsons to be considered as if they were
Uh-huh.
tribes, as if they were sons. By the way, he
Yeah,
reads it, says it here.
yeah. Okay. So, anything else that you would like to talk about before we get a little bit further? It's a little shorter section, although certainly has some content.
Uh, and I think we can
We can move on.
move on because
Let's move on.
there's a lot of material in the next section.
There is a lot of material in the next section. I mean, the fabric is amazing. I'm just kidding. Um, so if you're enjoying this show, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, call up your friends, send out some email blasts, no chain mail. Tell them if they don't forward it to 10 of their friends, their nose will get longer or something. No, don't do that. But yeah, I don't know if you remember those. But yes, please let everybody know, and we will be reading the Bible together. See you tomorrow.